Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about history. A friend of mine recently purchased one of the historic homes here in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and I inherited an 1899 set of Encyclopedia Britannica. It's impossible for censors from the Ministry of Truth to rewrite books, which is why leftists generally rely on burning them. It's very good to be able to see history as it was written at the time, rather than how it's been rewritten recently to suit a political agenda. Here's their article on slavery. It appears to be true that, in the words of Dunoyer, the economic regime of every society which has recently become sedentary is founded on the slavery of the industrial professions. In the hunter period, the savage warrior does not enslave his vanquished enemy, but slays him. The women of a conquered tribe he may, however, carry off and appropriate as wives or as servants, for in this period domestic labor falls almost altogether on their sex. In the pastoral stage, slaves will be captured only to be sold, with the exception of a few who may be required for the care of flocks or the small amounts of cultivation which is then undertaken. It is in proportion as a sedentary life prevails and agricultural exploitation is practiced on a larger scale, while warlike habits continue to exist, that the labor of slaves is increasingly introduced to provide food for the master and at the same time save him from irksome toil. What they're saying is that comfortable societies which rely on agriculture made widespread use of slaves. Slavery was thus widespread in the American South, where they were growing cotton, tobacco, and other crops. Like wealthy people of other races in the South, Native Americans made widespread use of slavery too. The chief of the Native American Choctaw tribe, Greenwood LaFour, had 15,000 acres of Mississippi land and enslaved 400 Africans under his dominion. And here's a famous photo of slaves in the South carrying cotton which they'd picked on their heads. Note that this woman is not only carrying cotton, but she's also carrying a small child. Agriculture relied on slavery because there was no other way to get the work done. Slave owners were oftentimes brutal. These were whip marks on a slave's back. So how does agriculture get by now without slaves? Well, the answer is very straightforward. Now we have industrial equipment and we have fossil fuels to power them. Machinery can pick huge amounts of cotton in a very short time, so there's no longer any need for very cheap labor. Thus, fossil fuels and capitalist innovation eliminated the need for slavery. But I'm being too generous. There's still slavery in a lot of the world. The World Cup Stadium in Qatar is currently being built by slaves, and Africa is full of slavery. The Congo has a population of 76 million people, and they have more than 1 million slaves. Apple, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, and Dell are being sued over child mine cobalt from Africa. They're using children as slaves. December 17th, 2019. Some of the biggest technology firms in the United States have been accused in a lawsuit of complicity in the death and maiming of hundreds, if not thousands, of African children who mine cobalt, a mineral vital to the production of the lithium-ion batteries in everything from smartphones to electric cars. The defendants named in the suit are Apple, Google, parent company Alphabet, Microsoft, Dell, and Tesla. These are the same companies who are censoring us for trying to tell the truth. The name Microsoft is probably familiar. It was founded by Bill Gates, the guy who's made $10 billion off the pandemic so far. The companies currently depending on child slavery in Africa are the same ones lending support to Black Lives Matter. The same people who are tearing down statues of our founding fathers are being supported by child slavery in Africa. And the press corps is, of course, lending them their full support. Without fossil fuels, though, slavery would be much more widespread, so we can thank big oil for bringing an end to this scourge. And besides ending slavery, fossil fuels also saved the whales, because cities used to burn whale oil in their street lamps. Toto thinks that the environment would be a complete mess without fossil fuels. Every tree would be cut down for firewood and the air would be thick with smoke. Toto thinks that the people who are against fossil fuels are not very intelligent. You can visit him on the web at realclimatescience.com.